Families are a big part of what home means, because families are central to our sense of who we are. You're not the job you do, but you're papa or mama or daughter or granddaughter or cousins. These are the links which are the closest. Families give us the reason to defend and protect what we have. And when we say set up home, we mean settle down, have kids, bring up a family. And therefore, Singapore has to be a home where people want to get married, want to have children, want to bring up the next generation. But alas, we are having too few babies. I show you the TFR chart. This is replacement level, 2.1 total fertility rate, which means every woman produces 2.1 kids, replaces herself, her husband, and a little bit to spare. But if you look at what we actually have been able to do from 1975 onwards, we started off there, around 2.1, but the trend has been steadily down ever since, coming down to about 1.2 last year, and all the way down. There are ups and downs from year to year. The red years are 12 years apart. 76, 88, 00, and 12. But I cannot imagine the 12 being here. And therefore, we have a problem. The long-term trend is down, but we cannot give up. We've got to do something about it. And when people ask me, which many visitors do, what problems do you have in Singapore? I offer them this one as an example of one not easy to solve. And they give me their ideas, sometimes serious, sometimes not. One Asian politician said, "Why don't you have more blackouts?" He has blackouts, he has high TFR, doesn't mean I have blackouts, I will have high TFR. It's not so simple. More Singaporeans remain single or they're getting married earlier. Part of the reason is that we're working too long hours. And I'm saying this quite seriously. I think being connected 24/7 is marvelous, but having email around the clock is not an entirely good thing. Married couples are having fewer children. On average now, each married woman has 2 kids. Previously it was more, so this number has also been coming down. So they are replacing mom and dad, but they're not making up for those who are not marrying and having children. And 20-30+ % now are not marrying, not having children. So we have a problem. Many Singaporeans have explained their considerations and their concerns, when to get married, when to have kids. And I talked to some of them. Recently I talked to one young lady, a teacher. She has 4 kids, young ones, from the age 14 to the age of 1. And she's gone back to work as a teacher. And she appreciates the schemes we have for working mothers, paid maternity leave, flexi work arrangements, and so on. But she says, but if I took all these schemes, then I'm pushing my load onto my colleagues, other teachers. And furthermore, when it comes assessment time, my head of department and my principal will not know what grade to give me. So even if you give me more of these leaves and perks, it will not help me with my career, which was important to her. So I asked her, what is the one thing that would encourage Singaporeans to have children? And she said, work-life balance. But then she added, but that is not in your power to give. She understands. We want work-life balance. We encourage people to have work-life balance. But finally, it's the attitudes of the employers, it's the attitudes of the individuals who are pursuing their careers. It's a social norm. Everybody is working, so I feel I have to work long hours too. And so we are stuck in that position. I talked to another young couple. They're volunteers in my branch. and when I have MPS, the husband is there till past midnight. They're newly married, move into an HDB flat in Sengkang, not ready for children yet, even though the flat has already arrived. So I asked them, what are your considerations? I want to understand how you see these choices before you. What would help? The husband said, you should make childcare more accessible. You should offer more flexible work arrangements. The wife had a slightly different take, also very sensible. And she said, I don't want 6 months maternity leave. My boss may forget about me. But if you can have paternity leave and fathers can help to bring up the children, that would be helpful. So these are sensible views of young Singaporeans, and I'm sure they're shared by many other couples. So what more can we do? NPTV is studying this very carefully as part of the population issue. We are consulting widely, and we'll work out a package which we hope will be ready by the time our white paper is published around January. But meanwhile, tonight I'll just share with you some broad ideas which take in some of the views which we've received so far. And the idea is to address the issues which make a difference to the couples, either substantively or to point a signal that this is something which is important. Please think about it, and please try to change our mindsets and our norms and behaviors. So first, work-life balance. I think we need to do more to promote flexible work arrangements, and we can help employers to go in this direction. We also have to improve work culture and employer attitudes so that you have certain new norms which are set. And maybe we should take seriously the idea of having 1 day a week when you close shop at 6 o'clock, and if you are seen in the office after that, that's a minus for promotion purposes. Housing. In other countries, you get married, you have kids, then eventually you save up, you buy a house. In Singapore, it's the other way around. House first, then you think about marriage, then you think about kids. I think now that housing is off the boil and we have built more flats, many more flats in the pipeline, I think that we should give some consideration to giving couples with young kids priority when they book HDB flats. Firstly, it will solve their problem faster. Secondly, it may encourage them to have a kid so that the flat will come faster. Thirdly, at birth, this question of leave. I think maternity leave at 16 weeks is about all right. You can make it longer, but employers have serious worries and we should take them seriously. And I think employees have worries too. But this idea of paternity leave in some form, either you give some to the husband or you make some of the maternity leave convertible. We've said no for a very long time, but I think it's time we change. To signal the importance of the father's role and your shared responsibility for raising the children. So please use the paternity leave for the purpose it is given. Thirdly, medical. One of the worries which couples have when they bring up a kid is what something is wrong and the medical expenses, how are we going to meet that? So one idea is we create a Medisave account for each kid when it's born, when he or she is born. And we put a small hong pao in for him to start life. And it can defray the childhood medical expenses and reassure the parents, no need to worry. And that part is seen too. Another thing we can do is preschool. I talked earlier about the steps we are going to do to raise standards, to make it affordable, to put a lot more resources in. I think that will be helpful. But other than preschool, there's also childcare and infant care. and we should give more financial support to low and middle income households for childcare and infant care. And as for the places where these are going to go, we need some in the housing estates near homes. I think we need some near workplaces, and we should help the operators who set up the centers in the housing estates or near the workplaces. And I hope that if one comes to a block of flats near you, you will welcome it even if you no longer have young children. Finally, we can always improve. The baby bonus is always welcome. We can look at that, but I don't think money is the point. It's ultimately not about money, it's about values, about deep motivations. Singaporeans will marry and have children because of the fulfillment that having a family brings. And the measures, as I said, are to address the practical problems and to point the direction, to signal the changes we would like to see in the mindsets. Beyond this specific packages, we need to create the right environment, the right social environment, the right ethos, so that Singaporeans want to settle down and have kids, and strengthen that sense that this is home, here is where we want to raise our families.